Kripa kripa no, chuk chuk, we chokabika.
Tijok.
Kalapisa kuta. Marisani shinana wuki.
You understand this?
Welcome to another Star Wars The Mandalorian review. If you happen to miss my review on the first episode, you can go ahead and click right up there in the corner. Keep in mind this review, like the first one, is going to have some minor story spoilers. But just to recap on Chapter 1 real quick, we were left with a couple of questions on the Mandalorian's motives and what his intentions were with the target that he was assigned to retrieve. Is he in it for a payday, or does he care about protecting innocent life? The end of Chapter 1 revealed that the bounty was a 50-year-old from Yoda species, which in fact puts them in the young baby/child range still, in comparison to a human. But the question is, does the show still hold up through its second episode as an entertaining experience? And the answer is yes. Actually, I think I like the show even more now after the second episode. This episode was entertaining through the entire thing. Not that the first one wasn't, but it just continues to be a great show. I'm actually more invested in it now than I was before because it's giving us little chunks of information as each episode goes along. And it does give us a little more information on why this child is so important. The main focus of this episode is the Mandalorian trying to protect the baby and get him off the planet safely, but it seems that every bounty hunter in the galaxy is also trying to score the same prize. It was really cool seeing some more throwbacks to classic Star Wars too. The bounty hunters going after the baby right at the beginning were Trandoshans. And quick lore time for those that don't know what a Trandoshan is. Trandoshans are a reptilian race from the planet Trandosha. And the way I like to explain them, they're kind of like the Star Wars version of Predator. They're vicious, powerful creatures that find great enjoyment in the hunt. They search for powerful prey. And their young go through hunts as rites of passage into their version of manhood. And you do see one in the classic Star Wars trilogy. One of the more popular ones from the extended universe is Bossk. You see him in Empire Strikes Back for a quick moment. And this second episode is titled The Child. I think a more proper title would have been something like One Bad Day, because that's exactly what the Mandalorian goes through. Nothing goes right for him in this episode, and from morning to night, it's just a progressive decay into going through hell. And this causes a shorter episode jam-packed with entertaining moments. Real soon, just after he was attacked by rival hunters, he gets back to his ship and finds that Jawas are completely stripping it. I had to rewind this entire scene and rewatch it because it was genuinely hilarious. And this is what I meant in my review of the first episode when I mentioned the humor in the show. It's so well done that humor just feels like a natural part of the scene versus someone going in and inserting a joke randomly just for a quick laugh. I found myself laughing through the entire episode, and it's not because the show's a comedy, very far from it. It's because of the escalating situations he just kept finding himself in. In the Star Wars universe, Jawas are scavengers. If you leave your stuff laying around, they take it apart and they steal it. And then they just GTA it. They drive away with your stuff. And then they try to resell it later in little flea market-like setups. It's kind of like when a hacker tried to steal my channel and then resell it back to me, so it was pretty satisfying seeing them getting blown away for a bit. The Mandalorian is just furious. They took his ship apart and the Jawas have no real defenses, so he just goes after them. And since they can't really fight, they're just throwing all this crap out the window at him. Just anything they can find to inconvenience him. And when he finally reaches them and tries to bargain with them, even with a helmet on, you can just feel how sick and tired he is of the Jawas. He's just absolutely had it with these things. I can't stress enough how important humor done right is to a property like Star Wars. There's a right way and a wrong way to insert humor into an otherwise serious story, and The Mandalorian nails that formula.
They will trade all the parts for the best car.
I'm not gonna trade anything. These are my parts. They stole them from me. Get away from it!
This episode also features the return of a character from the first episode that I really enjoyed, the little Ugnaught that helped him reach the baby in the first place. I find it so enjoyable that when he's finished making a point, he always says, "I have spoken." I got curious and I discovered on Twitter that it actually has its own little hashtag. That's awesome. As I mentioned before, the full episode's a little shorter, about 30 minutes long versus the first episode, which was about 40 minutes. And there's actually a very small amount of dialogue in this episode. There's not a lot of speech, yet it's still amazingly entertaining. It's a testament to how well done the show is. And one of its best aspects is the great cinematography on full display in Chapter 2. There's so many shots that are just breathtaking. One of my favorites is when they're going through a thunderstorm. And there's all kinds of small details in the camera work that you might not even notice watching this the first time. Like when he's about to be ambushed by the Trandoshans, if you look closely, you could see them jumping above him if you're looking at the reflection of his helmet. As mentioned last time, CG isn't overused and only used when appropriate. Near the end of the episode, the Mandalorian faces off against a huge rhino monster, which reminds me of a hairy version of the Reek from Attack of the Clones, that big alien they had to fight off in the arena. This creature is fully CG, and it looks so good that it can easily fit into a full theatrical movie. And that's a running theme with The Mandalorian. The show continues to feel like a full-blown entry in the Star Wars universe and less like a TV show. And the little Yoda baby, sometimes you could tell it's an animatronic prop, which gives the actor something physical to perform with. That's one issue that the prequels had, where everything was so oversaturated with CG that it didn't look believable. You can always tell that the actors weren't really looking at anything. And the child, of course, is becoming an important main plot point, and I love that they decided to make him a part of Yoda's race, since Yoda's race, in canon and legends, has always been very mysterious. Outside of Yoda, they're rarely seen, and fans have so many questions about them. Where are they from? How many of them are left out there? Maybe this child will give us some answers to some of those questions. And even though this one is very young by their standards, he's clearly gifted with the Force. Are they all gifted with Force abilities, or is there something special about this one, and that's why there's a huge bounty on him? But this episode also makes Yoda's race kind of terrifying little monsters in a way that swallow other animals whole.
They're protected by the crawling fortress. There's no way to recover the parts. Hey, spit that out.
Oh, and I also find it hilarious that when the baby Yoda used his Force powers, he was so overexerted that he fell asleep. Yet in The Last Jedi, when old man Luke used his Force powers and overexerted himself, he just straight up died. Oh, poor Luke. May Episode 9 give you some redemption. Although we still don't really know anything about the Mandalorian himself, this episode does help paint a more complete picture of his personality. It makes it clear that although he's a bounty hunter, at the same time he's honorable and he's respectful to those that help him.
I could use a crew member of your ability. You and I can pay handsomely.
I am honored, but I have worked a lifetime to finally be free of servitude.
I understand. Then all I can offer is my thanks.
And I offer mine. Thank you for bringing peace to my valley.
By the end of the episode, we're left with the question of, where does he go from here? Are we going to see him turn the child in for money? Or perhaps are we going to see him try and protect him from the people that want him? And the credits is something that I actually forgot to mention the last time. They show some really cool paintings depicting moments in the episode, and I was wondering if they're going to change for each episode, and they do. It just goes to show how much attention to detail each second of this show was created with. And I can't wait to see episode 3. I actually have seen some people confused as to why we got another episode so soon. Keep in mind the show does air every Friday. The only reason we got an extra episode the first week is because we got the first episode during launch day. After the next one airs, make sure you come back here for another review, and I want to hear your thoughts down below. How did you feel about this episode? And what were some of your favorite moments? Leave me some comments down below. Catch you guys later. Since you made it to the end of this video, I assume you enjoyed it, so why don't you go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss any new content. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, links in the description below, and if you'd like to support the channel, you can join my Patreon or become a channel member. This is Fabian, I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.